One of the biggest question marks surrounding the Boruto TBV VORTEX manga is the situation behind Boruto's karma. I haven't really gotten all my thoughts out on this situation, so for this video, I'm going to do just that. Before we start this video, I want to kindly ask if you would drop a like. That would help the video extremely in the YouTube algorithm, and it helps new people discover the channel. Last video, I set a goal of 300 likes, and y'all killed it. So for this video, let's shoot for about 400 likes this time. Now, if we get that, I might pop out and give y'all a random live stream just chatting and chilling out for a few hours to show my appreciation. But now that we got that out the way, let's hop right into the video. Now, the situation with Boruto's karma is quite an odd one. To come out of the 3-year time skip with arguably worse control over the karma than before is not what I nor many people expected when the series first released. Now, to properly explain how we possibly got to this point, we need to discuss the progression of Boruto's control over his karma throughout the story. Now, regarding karma control, Boruto never really had good control, unlike Kawaki, who always could activate his karma whenever he wanted. Kawaki, having a deeper understanding of himself and especially Ishiki, helped him grasp the concept of controlling his karma. Learning that him and Ishiki have similarities and knowing that he could do anything Ishiki was capable of. Boruto's situation was still a little different. Momoshiki was defeated when Boruto had his karma. His soul dwelled inside of Boruto from the very start, all while he was dealing with Momoshiki's soul constantly trying to take over his body. In comparison to Kawaki, he didn't really have this issue for the most part. It is true his DNA was also being overwritten to that of an OTSUTSUKI, more specifically Ishiki OTSUTSUKI, but Ishiki was not defeated yet. In fact, he was using another vessel at the time, being JOUGAN. And when Ishiki was unalived, he didn't have any vessels to resurrect, so he was gone for good. The karma that Kawaki has now is from Amato, but still has all the DNA and abilities from Ishiki on it. So it's like he has a free karma to use to his benefit with no consequences. So that's where Boruto and Kawaki differ when talking about their karmas. As many of you already knew, Momoshiki is the reason why Boruto has so little control of his karma. Whenever he is weakened, his control over his body wavers. The more he progressed down the path of Otsutsukification, his control progressively gotten worse. As I explained in past videos, against Code, it didn't even take Boruto long until his body was completely taken over by Momoshiki. Usually Momoshiki had to wait until Boruto exhausted a certain amount of chakra or was completely unconscious. We've seen from the Boro and Ishiki fight, the first couple times we've seen Momoshiki manifest himself into Boruto's body. But later on in the story, Momoshiki was able to take over without Boruto even expending a lot of chakra, and this time by force too. There wasn't anything Boruto could do to fight back or anything. So looking deeper into it, Momoshiki himself is a big part of the reason why Boruto can't control the karma. And it's definitely not going to do him service now that he's back in Konoha, and Kawaki activating his karma can also force Boruto's karma to activate. Which of course is dangerous because it'll allow Momoshiki to take control even easier than he already can. So what's the solution here? Will Boruto ever have a decent control over his karma? And what needs to take place for that to happen? The truth is, I do have a method that could work in mind, but before I get into discussing that, the short answer to that question is yes. I do believe he will have control over Momoshiki's soul soon to come. You see, the problem is, after Boruto became 100% OTSUTSUKI, I believe he and Momoshiki now share a similar relationship to that of Himawari and Kurama. What I mean by that is when Kurama stated that him and Himawari are now one body and soul. Momoshiki's soul can never be extracted from Boruto's body. They exist as one entity now, right down to the DNA. This is why Boruto started to manifest the abilities of the OTSUTSUKI during the time skip, like the ability to fly. I also believe there's other abilities that he manifested that the manga hasn't shown yet. I won't dive into all of them in this video, but let's say most of the abilities you've seen Momoshiki execute in part 1, especially against Naruto and Sasuke, Boruto should have access to. This includes his summonings and tool creation ability he gotten from absorbing Kinshiki. If you want to hear me talk more about that, then tap the video in the top right corner. In the video, I go in depth about Boruto's new OTSUTSUKI abilities and how they can be implemented into the story. But regarding this video, there's one thing I want to talk about. and it's Boruto's, or should I say Momoshiki's Byakugan. Yes, I believe that Boruto already manifested Momoshiki's Byakugan permanently in his right eye. The reason he keeps it closed isn't because of the injury or anything, or at least not anymore. For one, he probably wants to keep it hidden from the public. I mean, it's definitely not something you would want to show off anyway. But another reason is to keep Momoshiki at bay, or limit his chances of his body being taken over. Every time we see Momoshiki in control over Boruto's body, his right eye always manifests a Byakugan, which signifies that it's not Boruto in control anymore, because his left eye is closed. If Boruto opens his right eye, he's almost asking for Momoshiki to take over. And that's not even the craziest part of all of this. There's a chance that Boruto's body could have or started to manifest a Rinnegan as well, just like Momoshiki. Tell me why Boruto only wears one glove, and he wears it on his left hand, which isn't even his dominant hand, or the hand he handles his sword with. You can argue it's just his character design and that's the end of it, but if you want to look at it from a deeper perspective, then it could have much more meaning than it simply being a fashion statement. So as you can see, Boruto's control over his body can be challenged at the slightest of inconvenience. He can't be too close to Kawaki because of their karmas resonating, he can't open his right eye because of the Byakugan, and he can't exert too much energy or chakra because that'll allow Momoshiki to access his body as well. So it's pretty obvious, if Boruto wants to battle at his full capabilities, he's gonna have to do something about this issue, and fast. But exactly what could be done? It's not like Boruto could do what Naruto did and defeat his inner demon by entering his own consciousness or anything, or even trying to befriend Momoshiki or anything like that. It's just not plausible. He needs something that can suppress Momoshiki's presence while he has his karma activated. Because how can he go from not even wanting his karma to activate for a second to using his full power against Kawaki towards the end of the series? I'm afraid the answer is very simple. I'm not even gonna hold it from you guys anymore. I'm just gonna say it. It's the JOUGAN. I know. The JOUGAN propaganda that I constantly push on this channel, some would say is shameless. And to an extent, I would agree. But when you take a look at how the story is unfolding and the direction is heading based on current events and narratives, you really can't deny it no longer. Allow me to explain. Now, when it comes to the JOUGAN, many people don't even believe it's canon, mainly because in the first chapter of the anime compared to the manga, you can see in the anime it's definitely the JOUGAN that they're showing, but in the manga, it looks to be the Byakugan. People usually use this difference to come to the conclusion that the JOUGAN isn't real, which shouldn't be the case at all. I was thinking that maybe they hadn't even thought of the JOUGAN until later on. Me just telling y'all that doesn't really mean anything, nor does it help my case at all. But then I remembered, they did something similar to the Rinnegan on the last chapter of part 1 of Naruto. They made the Rinnegan look somewhat unrecognizable at first. And it's because they just didn't want to reveal it yet at the time, until it was appropriate to do so. You could see, when the time came near to reveal such a dojutsu, they started to animate it more accurately. It can also be the case that they simply didn't know what they wanted the Rinnegan to look like at the time, similar to what I think they did with the JOUGAN. The anime and manga released within a 2-year gap. During that gap, you don't think there was anything they wanted to change or add to the story to help push the narrative forward? They do it all the time, either the beginning or the end of the manga. Take the Attack on Titan anime for example, and how they changed their ending a bit. And there are rumors that the same could happen with Demon Slayer. Of course I won't go in depth about either one, because I doubt you clicked on this video for spoilers that don't involve Boruto. But my point still stands. Things can change in an anime or manga at any time. It's just usually towards the beginning or end because that's the easiest places to make drastic changes to a story without altering the plot or narrative too much to where the anime and manga aren't even identical anymore. Now that I went over that little hurdle, let's start talking about the JOUGAN. The JOUGAN is widely referred to in the anime as the Star of Hope. The eye looks like a star. Tonari made that reference, you get what I'm trying to say. Now if what Tonari said was true, that his eye will guide him to the light that will dispel darkness, we could come to the conclusion that the JOUGAN itself will be the thing that he needs to keep Momoshiki at bay, Or maybe the Jogan is key for something that will suppress Momoshiki's soul, enough for Boruto to rely on his karma in battle without the risk of his body being hijacked. I cannot express this enough. I highly recommend everyone to watch episode 8 and 53 of Boruto Part 1. So much of this series has been foreshadowed just from Toneri, it's actually insane. He even predicted the Otsutsuki will in fact descend upon this land, the land he's referring to being Earth. It's still unclear to which god he was referring to, Momoshiki, Kinshiki, Ishiki, or even Shibai himself. But one thing is for sure, he's definitely talking about the Otsutsuki. And if he implanted the Jogan into Boruto to act ahead and counter this invasion, the Jogan could somehow be a way to fight against them. Or maybe something about the Jogan could have some effect against the Otsutsuki. This is why Yorishiki said to Toneri that you think you did something by doing something to that woman's son. And if you've seen Naruto the last movie, you know what he's referring to when he says that. Toneri is avidly trying to protect Earth against his own clan. That's why he's considered a traitor among the Otsutsuki. He was preparing for this very thing. He foresaw everything. The key to it is the Jogan. You have to understand that. Everything that was said has some connection to the time skip, and hopefully events to take place in the future. It's time for the manga to start diving deeper into the lore behind the Otsutsuki, because now it's time. It's time for everything that Toneri's talking about in these episodes to take place. Everything that he's talking about is getting ready to happen. I believe Boruto will learn more about himself and possibly gain some connection to the whereabouts of Toneri Otsutsuki if he hasn't already met him, which I doubt, but it's still a possibility. And all of this could happen in the very next arc of Two Blue Vortex, after the Shinju invasion concludes. It leaves room for so much to explore, because it's just too much that we don't know right now. It's way too much. Perhaps even then we get more information on Shibai as well. The complete history of the Otsutsuki is a necessity for the manga based on these current events. I feel like we'll be getting that very soon. So like always, if you enjoyed the video and want to see more just like this, then drop a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified whenever I upload or go live for chapter spoilers. Let me know if there was anything you agreed or disagreed with, and if you think there's some other way Boruto can gain control over his karma, then let me know in the comment section below. And until my next video, I'm out. Peace.